Bekumele sibulale wonke lama-camera sound bese sithatha lento lesifida la ithatha sound la bese siphelele. Niyenzani ngicela ubuze yini niyenzani? From where to where? Right. Thatha lento le. Kula makamera la yipo vulela audio book. Ayikho vulela ngisayivulela.
One of our most important tasks is to mobilize the youth and students who, as all we know, are actively seeking end of high unemployment and other social ills such as substance abuse. Another task is to translate our recognition of African royalty in our country, or traditional leaders as they are otherwise called, into a dynamic and mutually supportive and beneficial relationship. We affirm that the Khoi and San peoples are our African sisters and brothers, and we stand with them in fighting against all forms of marginalization, and for this inclusion of all Africans in development. Working people, the poor, and unemployment remain the core and cornerstone of our continuing struggle for an African socialist and democratic society. This position has not changed since the PAC articulated during its founding conference in 1959. Our participation in the daily struggles of the people must include the rural poverty and unemployment and the horrendous consequences of the migrant labor. We want our business people to make meaningful contribution towards efforts to promote the emergence of African entrepreneurs. Women are the pillars of our communities and the primary builders and nurturers of families, but they are also leaders in their own way. Introducer to the PAC every month. Put the Parama because that's like sometimes I want to because that's about the little PAC here. And the items are the Mama Billet.
I saw the shop. Yes, Tamana.
What kind of a country? We must change that mentality. And we see that when you look at our government, when you are better capacity.
Yeah, Sunday shop. No.
Okay, man, it's just double checking it.
Ngamadoda ngawo nabanjela i-corruption bheka ejele ujonga abangaphi abafazi ababanjela i-corruption uzawufika ngamadoda hamba ngoku ujonga ingozi ezindleleni zenziwa ngamadoda hamba ngoku ubheke esibhedlela uzofika umuntu ehlatywe yenye indoda. Yonke into erongo yenziwa indoda kweli lizwe. Take our women seriously. But there are also leaders in their own right, and gone are the days when women would be second-guessed, marginalized, and ridiculed. No PAC member should be associated with such backward-looking and retrograde notions and practices. We must demonstrate our commitment to the fight against gender-based violence through clear and concrete programs that power and all our structures must implement visibility on the ground. Tell you, gender-based violence, ayikho xa umbethe wambulala umfazi wakho. Once ibheke pha intombi uthi zinhle zampundu. Stop it. Once uthi xa ubona amantombi amabini ehleli ubizenye uthi khanifake kule. Yiyo le ufuna ukwenza yona ucimba zii-ornaments. That's gender-based violence. So it begins with us. Iqala pha kuthi gender. Ingxaki into yokuba nizi-hypocrites madoda. And nisithele nge-culture in abusing our women. Nizimela nge-culture. Ufonkabe besithi kukho i-culture. Magaya. Abafazi makabe mnye bangababini ayo culture leyo. Nizimele nge-culture magaya. That's abuse and that's gender-based violence. Stop it. If asithethi thina singamadoda ayizukwenzeka lonto. Ngamadoda aqala pha ekhaya abantwana xa unabantwana abane unoyinkwenkwe yedwa indlela omtreatha ngayo the boy child yohlukile kwaba bangabafazi. Utrithwa njengeprince ethile nayazibona into yoba unamandla kunomfazi. Ulanto uyibhridayo pha ubhrida into ezawubanga into yoba xa indala afazi as ornaments. PAC must change. PAC must change. And the PAC ukutshintsha kwayo kukutshintsha kwethu siziziqu thina madoda sitshintshe. It begins with us. Uba sitshintshe thina isociety yethu ayizutshintsha. Bendikhe ndathi komnye umphathiswa uzuke uthi phaa eParliament xa sizawuxoxa nge-16 days of no violence against women. Ungabizi thina as members of parliament ubiza abantwana bethu ibe ngaba abathethayo ngathi. Bangathethi sikhona bavalele pha ngasemva ubuzodlala eza tape nawuviza into. Izidlwengu nazi izinxibo tayi phakathi kwethu. Izidlwengu nazi ziqhuba imoto ezinhle zihamba nathi. Ngabantu abenza i-abuse abo masiyikhalimeleni singamadoda loo nto. Yile nto i-PAC ifana ithetha ngayo. Asizuthetha into enye yoba one settler one bullet. Bana ngasimnike nalo mpuphi ungakwazi nolidubula nelibhulu. We must demonstrate our commitment to the fight against gender-based violence through clear and concrete programs that power and all our structures must implement visibility on the ground. I'm saying all these things, ma-Afrika ngomama, ngoba ndifuna nakhe ipower. Ukhe yakhe ipower, uxanduva lwethu kunisupporta, iqine i-structures omama. Ukhe saqina, i-PAC will be strong. Sixhomekeke kuni uze sibe strong. Niyasibona thina si-weak. On the policy front, it is insufficient to point to gaps and inconsistencies in the policies of other formations and even of the government. While not presenting our own, which we must bring it into the national discourse and contention more vigorously, we therefore need to sharpen and bring our policies up to date on a range of social and economic sectors and spheres. Professor Mayende, ndiyayazi uba uyingcali yomhlaba masizixoxe iipolicies ze-PAC sivane ngazo. Asifuna ukukhokelwa nge-common sense. Ngoba ngenye ixesha i-common sense ikhe ingabikho common. Masizixoxe prof ukuba sithi sizawuthatha umhlaba, Comrade Deputy President, masiuxele umhlaba sawuthatha njani. It is not enough to say we're going to take the land. Masiuxele uba sizawuthatha njani. It is not enough ukuxela umhlaba sawuthatha njani. Masiuxele uba sawugqiba uthatha sizawenzani. Land restoration is what we are talking about. Khathazile. Ndiyakwazi undigadile nge-land restoration. Sifika njani pha kwi-land restoration? I-land restoration is the end. Yile xa sowubuyiselwe kuwe kukubuyisela kuwe. Uya njani kuwuthatha njani usapha kuwe? How do you take the land? Do you repossess? If you repossess the land, how? Explain it. Sixelele uba sizawuvuka kusasa sithathe simise ipali sibene sithi kule kona nakule kona nakule kona kukwam. Sitsho. Comrade Chair, sihambe articulate this thing, this position in the media. It is not enough to say silwela umhlaba. Siwuthatha kanjani? Do we expropriate? What is to expropriate? Is this ANC or is this English? Once with expropriation to alilo lichata ndiyambona. How do we get the land so that we restore the land to its rightful owners? Land restoration. How do we make sure that there is security of tenure to our people? Is security of tenure the title deed le abanye benu xa behlekisa ngam bathi yi-Minister of Title Deeds. Abantu must be given title deeds. Kutsho umuntu obhatala ibond yeta afuna after 20 years azafumana i-title deed. Athi le nto title deed ayikho. Kodwa ulwa abe bomvu uba ufuna ukugqiba ibond azofumana i-title deed. I-title deed luyibhatalela nge-20 years. So when we restore the land and give it to our people, sibuyisela isidima sabo, because restoration is about the restoration of the dignity. We do not only transfer soil, we transfer also dignity to our people. Isidima som Africa to project Africanist personality. Injongo yesine ePAC. So, Prof, we must discuss policies. And we must not shy away. Ingxaki yethu singamagwala. We must discuss the issue of gays and lesbians must be discussed by PAC. PAC be in a position. Ungamano usithi hayi ngandi mna i-gays and lesbians ndizifuni ngoba wathi umgabe. Angomgabe lo i-PAC. Ithini yona i-PAC lo ikhokeleyo? So we must discuss policies, Ma Africa. These conferences and congresses must discuss policies, must discuss issues affecting our people. We therefore need to sharpen and bring our policies up to date on a range of social and economic sectors and spheres. In this regard, as Sobukwe stated in an article published in May 1959 under the title, The PAC Case, our policies must flow from the logic of the African situation, from the fundamental interests of the vast African millions. The time has now come to translate into reality our long-standing resolutions on the formation of directorates to drive the work of. One of our tasks is to such concepts through clear policies that answer the question of what they mean to people's lives. So new Lord Secretary, so new positions in the NEC have directorates. Because as a report as secretaries, so as not report. They attend NEC meetings to attack the president and the SG and Secretary for Finance. Attack them, but also produce your reports so as you attack. Suguti and Cabinet Directorate. iphela ithemba yani cabinet director wenzeni wena ngaphandle kogxeka mna kaloku xa ukhombe ngapha emithathu ikhombe kuwe sikunika responsibility ube yi-secretary yeportfolio kuphela ithemba magajane asina report yakho ndenza umzekelo zezi zinto i-PAC mayingazibaleki ima-Afrika izithethe zenzani ezi secretaries zithi sifuna kwi-NEC meeting ngomso asinamali sifakele imali sonke awukakade uqeshwe i-PAC yakho nalaa mali PAC faka umfakele imali for uyothuka wena akanayo yakhe iripoti ziphi iiripoti asenzi lutho ngomlomo we must also remember that since 1994 we are operating in an environment where political contestation is encapsulated in competition for votes. As such, we need to position our structures to be mobilized to effectively garner votes for our organization at the ward. PAC is ward-based. Africa, PAC branches are ward-based. That's a PAC resolution. During Mkhuba era, ayo yam, ayo yetu, ayo yenu, ayo ye president biphambi kwethu. Yathanda ngexesha lika Mkhuba. PAC branches are ward-based. Ayikho into ekuthiwa yi-greater Gqeberha branch. There's no such a thing. I know it was so painful uqala kwayo kuCendane kuthiwe usingu-ward 30 abaya ngu-ward 32 ufumanisa ustemela lowa sohlulwa indlela kodwa kwenye iward and nganti kuqhelanga ungabhrentshi nayo ndiva kabuhlungu ngapha kwetha ngapha yenye iward ngu-ward 30 ngapha kwale ndlu ngapha ngu-ward 24 and ngoku ndifuna thina sithi asizuvanga amatshati thina thina singuCendane branch. There is no such a thing. PAC branches are ward based if sifuna ukukhula growth. So maziphele ezo nto ezo isukane eziwadini asanukwenza ii-branches zesichomi enzani ii-branches ze-PAC to grow PAC. As such, we need to position our structures to be mobilized to effectively garner votes for our organization at the ward and to maximize the accumulation of votes for PAC, because in our electoral system, every vote counts. We cannot pretend to be satisfied with our performance in the previous elections, which sends a clear message for us: increase our visibility and work among the people on the ground. Some of us, Mr. Fixit, abahlala eNevsenda nge-elections. Most of you zange bayohlala eNevsenda xa kubalwa. Kungasufile si-stress phaya. Ii-voters ngeni sengwayo. Ujonge phaya ebhodini ziyangena eminye imibutho. Uthi xa uzikokisa uthi iseza ibhayi kuza kwaziwana. Uxa uzixokisa uthi ndiyayazi uba zikangena ezakuCendane ungena kwazo ayatshintsha amanani. Kodwa i-reality yona uyayazi apha kuwe ukuba khange usebenze Gqobo. Kodwa ufuna ivoti. Iivoti ziyasetyenzelwa ziyomana. Ziyasetyenzelwa. Sijonge thina phaa kube ezinye iinkokeli xa sizokubulisa ube neentloni. Zithi zihamba njani inkokeli uthi hayi don't worry isese zaselokishini ziseze rural areas. Ezi nizibonayo zii-urban areas. Rural areas are still coming. And ufika kwazo ibhodi izawutshintsha. Uyayibona yona uba ii-millions ziyabalwa phaya kwi-voting stations. Kodwa kusasa ubuzoxela thina into yoba kweyam indawo siwagqibile amatshata, we are all PAC. Figures don't lie. Don't do that. On the international front, as the PAC, we stand firm on our policy of promoting the unity of Africa, the resolution of conflicts through peaceful means, and the promotion of a culture of human rights. We do not support the oppression and killing of Africans by other Africans, and the rigging of elections. We also stand against all forms of genocide, regardless of who the perpetrators are, and we also reject any form of bullying. All countries are sovereign and are equal under international law, and their decisions should be respected by others. The notion of big brothers would dictate to others what they can and cannot do, and we therefore denounce the phantom idea that a genocide is being perpetrated in our country against its white citizens. By the way, Comrade SG, aba belungu bakhalazayo bathi kwi-genocide in South Africa ngabo abathatha abantu abamnyama babaphose ezingonyameni, ngabo abathatha abantu abamnyama babarhuqe ngeebhaki, ngabo ababiza oomama bethu ii-girls, ngabo ababiza ootata bethu oopikinini, kodwa bathi bayabulawa eSouth Africa. But thina sithule, asitsho uba ayaxoka la maHebhere, sibayekile. Kodwa I can assure you, bonke aba babheke America to date, I am sure they are missing South Africa. Kaloku in America abazuba nazo izileves. In America they won't have 10 farms. In America akuzubakho umama omdala ovuka amenzela iti kusasa. In America akuzubakho into yoba umuntu nje ahambe ehlise enyuka nje ahlale edorobhini abe nendawo ezibhalwe whites only. There will be no Orania in America. They will miss South Africa. I'm not sure if being president of the country, when this was a revoker, if visas have, because they're bangabuyele up. We must also work hard to address the issue of resources for our organization, financially and otherwise, but we must do so in a principled manner. As we all know, in the modern era in which we live, resources are an important driver towards success. We must seriously explore the option of encouraging business formation among African families so that we can fund our own national interests. The general call that we always make for members to find ways of making significant contributions in this regard also remains. We must also bear in mind that the organization must be self-reliant and self-funding. Lastly, Comrade Chairperson, allow me at this stage to raise a matter that is very important to our country and to the history of the liberation struggle, which is the decision that we have taken to pursue the route of a judicial inquest on the circumstances surrounding the death of our founding president, Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe. As most of us know, Sobukwe died on 27 February 1978 at the age of 53. Although his death was attributed to lung cancer, our members and many among the African people have never accepted the narrative about cancer. For the simple reason that we know, and history bears witness to the fact, that he was subjected to a systematic, prolonged, and cumulative process of physical and psychological torture that was implemented over a period of 18 years. From 1960 to 1978. This included deliberate acts such as poisoning him and the performance of illegal surgical procedures on him while he was illegally incarcerated on Robben Island. where he was kept under solitary confinement for 6 years from 1963 to 1969. Further acts of brutality that contributed to the cumulative process that eventually killed him were perpetrated during his period of banishment and house arrest in Kimberley between 1969 and 1978. Our considered position is therefore that Sobukwe was the victim of a deliberate and systematic assassination that was committed over the lengthy period of 18 years through the continuous and incremental perpetration of acts of unspeakable brutality. Umntu apha endlini othi akafuni siyifumane i-voice recording kaSobukwe maphambi isandla othi akafuni siyifumane. Then why going and mislead Sobukwe family that ngesiconsultile koSobukwe? We did. We wrote to the family of Sobukwe, we have a letter. They responded. We were consulting them, we were informing them that this is what we are going to do. And they responded in writing, the email. Dahlala dinomfanekiso wam busang disiya kwaThoboti ndithi uThoboti ndingacula nangawe. Danomfanekiso wabantwana bam besithi kwi-PAC, hey anandi nidibanisa nonyonso nini kanti abayo-PAC. We are disciples of Sobukwe. Singamajoni kaSobukwe, singabafundi bakaSobukwe, siza kumprotect not only Sobukwe, we also believe that Jeff Masemula was assassinated and we are going to call for an inquest on his death. We also believe that Sabelo Palmer was assassinated. We will write to the government of Tanzania, sifuni inquest. So we will go to KZN and open an inquest on the death of Mbinzi Zabok, and we will do that. We will go to Mozambique and find out what Gerald Kondlo bafela kwela hlathi na okanye bafele ejele Mozambique kuba uguma oyibrother yenye ababantu bapha uthi eyakhe ibrother yambhalela isithi Frelimo ithi joinani ANC okanye nizawufa so zange bafe kwela hlathi. We must prove that if it was true or not. It is the PAC that is going to do that. We will inform families and that is what we are going to do. And izukuyimamela iileta zingabhalwa ngamagqwetha. Wena omakwethu begxothwa in this organization kwafonyishwa i-kangaroo courts nezithile zatshelishwa ngamagqwetha. We were here. And that is not going to happen. Siza kumprotect uSobukwe jealously ngoba singabafundi bakhe. Abanye benu balahlekelwa bubutsha babo ngenxa yolandela uSobukwe. Abanye benu they lost everything because babekholelwa kwimfundiso zikaSobukwe. uSobukwe uphila kuni. Yiyo lento sine campaign that says we must be like Sobukwe, and that campaign must grow. There is no need to use Sobukwe's death to campaign. Campaign applies on national elections as the president of the PAC votela ban. Why must I go and campaign the inquest Sobukwe kuba ndifuna uthenga votes the PAC? I received a message from the journalist telling me that. From Makwe to zonke presidents the PAC in parliament, outside parliament, zonke kudala zithi sifuna ilizwi likaSobukwe. Where is Sobukwe's voice recording? Why ngoku ayisenziwa ndim ukuthi ufuna uvotela? Kunini sathi sifuna izwi likaSobukwe kanti besidlala? Kunini sathi lifihliwe somewhere? Kunini sathi Sobukwe was the most person or political leader in South Africa eyayirekhodishwa eyayisoyikwa between 1959 and 1960? Xa sithi ngoku there's an opportunity to find those voice recordings kude uteenage ukhangela ivote ezantoni? Ndifuna justice for Sobukwe and for PAC and for African people. uSobukwe is not only the leader of PAC, he is the leader of the African people. And we want justice for Sobukwe. Sizayifuna, akukho umuntu uzawusinqanda, akukho umuntu uzawusibhalela love letters, akukho umuntu uzawuthi saluyenza. We will always consult families where there is misunderstanding. Sizodibana nazo families and explain. I-campaign kaSobukwe mayikhule. Let us be like Sobukwe campaign must grow. Singabi Sobukwe lookalikes, but let us grow the campaign to be like Sobukwe and we emulate him. This is the reason why we've decided to pursue the inquest option. And in so doing, we've committed ourselves to work closely in partnership with the Sobukwe family, and we intend to meet with them early New Year to discuss ways of taking this complex matter forward. Already, sesi allocated where the investigator, yophando ufaka Sobukwe. We also, Chief Justice, Deputy Chief Justice Museneke, few days ago, SATV, also speaking about Sobukwe's voice, because everybody was happy with the action that we have taken. We will also engage a team of researchers and legal experts to assist us in providing information that would be essential in supporting the inquest process towards the desired housing the real truth about Sobukwe's death and to bring peace to his precious soul. The inquest is to be conducted by the National Prosecuting Authority under the auspices of its Truth and Reconciliation Commission. I saw an interesting piece, Prof, written by Budumisa Nsebeza about this thing. Everybody would, this is good and we must contribute towards it. Comrade Chairperson, allow me at this point to declare the 13th Congress of the PAC open. And to wish all the delegates a disciplined and successful conference and a rewarding and enjoyable stay in Gqeberha. Asante sana.
Isoletu, Africa, Isoletu, Africa. Isoletu, Africa. May we all sit down, fellow comrades. Member number 1 of the organization. Comrades, can the door be closed? Can somebody who has opened the door close the door? Comrades of security, can you please stop operating without our instructions? I don't know who gave the instruction that the doors must be open. Comrades, can that door be closed there? Thank you very much, fellow comrades. Member number 1 of the organization, our political head, Comrade President, we thank you very much. Sometimes some things needs to be said by you so that some of us do not seem to be saying things out of our own personal convictions. All of us in the organization has lingering responsibilities. Sometimes when I answer questions, I like saying to comrades, one day when I become president, I will have answers. Or if I dare, I will have answers. Thank you very much, member number 1. Some of these things must be said by you in the correct platform. Here is a correct platform to speak. Comrade President, I want to narrate Congress a story about IEC. One year we were in IEC counting center. And I think Comrade Gqeberha was there with me. Other comrades, I can't mention their names because they are not here. I want to reflect the embarrassment we have endured as an organization. President, you were saying figures are moving in other organizations when we are there, and in our emblem, nothing moves. We once spent 3 days in IEC counting center after it has closed because of lack of capacity from the people who were representing the party, lack of understanding of elections. We remained in some hired hall, Comrade Ndonzima, that is rented by IEC. Now, the contract between IEC and that building had a date of ending after elections. Me and the former DSG, we were still holding some letter calling it an appeal, walking behind commissioners of the IEC. What ended up happening with us was a police van coming to fetch us from a hired private venue that is not belonging to the IEC. I'm saying this to say the journey we have traveled. Today, when the party sends me to IEC meeting, Comrade President, I wear my blue suit with confidence because from the gate, securities will be saying, DSG of the PAC, DSG of the PAC. We have one center of authority. Lastly, President, one of our great stalwarts in the party used to say this to us when we were growing up in the party. A disciplined PAC cadre personified the party. He thinks for the party and about the party like he does about himself. Meaning, if somebody enters our meeting and tells us to withdraw from IEC, we must just check his wallet if there's a bank card. We must go check his car if there's a license disc on the window. If his car has a license disc, meaning he himself is operating within the system he's complying. If he still uses a bank card, meaning his money, there's no bank owned by Pan-Africanists in this world. Meaning even his personal money are in the hands of capitalists. But expect the PAC to win some excursion. Withdraw from mainstream politics. I don't know become what. I don't know operate where as what. I pause there, President. Siyakubulisa kakhulu, member number 1. Under your leadership, Sivaka Mnandi. We are proud to call ourselves PAC leaders. Without any waste of time, comrades, our analysis of the program from yesterday to today, vis-a-vis the program we initially announced, we are 5 hours behind. We are mentioning this to say, in whatever we do, moving from here to the closed session up until the end, we have little luxury of time. No one is under duress not to say what they want to say. No one is under duress to do the English flair code like we normally code, even if sometimes the necessity, we still strive to understand why it's codes. But I'm just saying everybody will be allowed to speak as much as possible. However, we do not have the luxury of time. We are 5 hours behind schedule. I'm going to request member number 3 of the organization, Secretary General of the party, to give us the house rules, and we close this open session. As I said in my opening remarks, rules of an open session are extremely different from rules of a closed session. We are saying this so that all those who are inside the venue must understand that here we're in an open session. We are gravitating towards a closed session. In a closed session, Comrade Secretary General.
Izwe lethu. Africa. Africa, I'm not going to take much of your time. You are all acknowledged, the leadership of the PAC, the president of the PAC, members of the NEC, provincial executive committees that are present here, the regional executive committee that are present here, members of the regional executive committee, and of course, members of the branch executive committees, and more importantly, you members of the PAC, you are acknowledged. Indeed, President, we will defend the PAC. Comrades, as the DSG has alluded to, we were supposed to have started yesterday with the open session. Let me start by firstly humbly apologize to delegates of the PAC that we were unable to start yesterday. We know that most of you traveled all night yesterday, and we had sincerely hoped that we were going to start yesterday. There were also issues around the sleeping accommodation. There were issues around accreditation. But fortunately, comrades, here we are, and we apologize for all those delays. We spent the whole night yesterday, some of us with some few members of the NEC, we said we're not going to sleep or we're not going to leave the venue of the registration first. We would be the last so as to assist and facilitate and ensure that all the delegates that should participate in this Congress do participate in this Congress. As I said, comrades, our program was supposed to start yesterday. We were supposed to receive messages of support from embassies. We were supposed to receive messages of support from fraternal political parties that are here in this country. We were also supposed to receive messages of support from political parties that we were in trenches with, those that we fought in the liberation with in this continent and elsewhere. Unfortunately, some of them were here yesterday, but they could not deliver the message as we could not start. We specifically received a message of support from Azapo. It was a written message of support. I'm not going to read it. We'll share it with the structures. We also acknowledge that we were going to be, there was a delegation that was going to be with us from UDM that is led by President Bantu Holomisa. They were supposed to be with us today. Khoisan communities and formations were also supposed to be with us yesterday and give us their message of support. We acknowledge all of those. President has also shown me that Gqeberha had written to us that we seemed to have forgotten them when they are always, when they themselves were always in their hearts. They always preach Pan-Africanism and they love PAC so much. They feel and they are asking, why did we did not invite them? For that, President, we apologize to Gqeberha and we will not do that mistake again. If they are listening elsewhere, we'll make sure that we don't do that mistake again. Equally, some other kings in this country expressed interest on matters of the PAC and they wished to also be with us. Unfortunately, they could not be with us. That was supposed to be a program yesterday. Today, we were supposed to begin with delivering reports by PAC officials as per the constitutional prescript. Immediately after closing this session, which is the open session, we will then move to the closed session where we will receive such reports. I had hoped that our program would be flighted, but I see it is not flighted, but it was shared with members of the PAC. But the program remains as it was when it was circulated. We will receive the presidential report and engage with the presidential report today. We will receive the Secretary General's report and engage with it. We will receive the National Organizers report and engage with it. We will receive the audited combined secretariat reports as per the Constitution today and engage that report. After that session, we will close. Tomorrow, we will begin with a session that is going to be run by an independent election authority. They will run the nomination for the new leadership of the PAC in terms of the guidelines that have been shared with you, comrades. You know what the guidelines say with regard to the nomination, the processes thereof, and all of that. They'll also outline themselves on how they are going to run the elections of the new National Executive Committee. After they'd concluded that process of nomination and going to prepare the ballots, if there need be, we will reconvene in the plenary and then establish commissions and then break into commissions. Whilst in commissions, depending on how the independent elections authority will do its things, we hope that during that period, we will also go and vote tomorrow. At the end of the day tomorrow, we will then get the results of the elections. We will then also get the reports from different commissions for adoptions by the plenary. Once that process is concluded, that will be the business for Saturday. On Sunday, we will start with the new leadership taking oath of allegiance, after which we will then read out the declaration and the resolutions of this Congress or the plenary. After that, we will then receive a message from the newly elected PAC president. After that, we will then close and depart home. That is how our program, our official program, would be on Sunday. And we hope that we'll stick to it. More importantly, comrades, that I need to share with you, because we are now using these types of venues, we are supposed to follow certain agreements with the owners of the venues. The owners of the venues have given us time to start and time to end. Members of the NEC, because yesterday we were supposed to start at 11 and end at 3, but we ended up spending the whole night. We had to pay double the amount for that venue. We received an invoice this morning. So we don't have the luxury of time, because for us, time means costs if we are using these venues. So if our program starts at 8 and end at 9, it should definitely end at 9 and allow you also space to rest. More importantly, comrades, yesterday there were also acts of vandalism of the property that some comrades went into that venue, opened taps, and they did not close them. Water was running. And some came to us and said, there's no water. Kanti ama-Afrika bavulile ipompo ema-toilets. Some comrades decided to use those toilets as bathrooms. We were then told that we would be charged for that. Yesterday, members of the NEC, some members of the PAC also went to the venue that they know that they were not allocated to. They went to the venue, the sleeping accommodation without tax, when it was clearly explained that no one should go there without tax. As a result, they have left a debt for the PAC, a debt that we do not know. It involved many, many other things. I'm highlighting all of these things, comrades, in an humble way to please ask you not to do such things, comrades. The party cannot afford such things. It's really unnecessary. We call upon members of the PAC to act in a very disciplined manner. The accommodation that we have been allocated to, all members who are delegates would have access to. If you have access card, you have the right to sleep in those sleeping accommodation. If you don't have, comrades, you will not be allowed into those facilities. More importantly, comrades, in those facilities, the property that you find there does not belong to PAC. And should that property be vandalized, PAC would be fined. And you know, these institutions, if fines Zabo, they're out of this world. You get a micro oven that will normally get at a superstore for 700. But if you damage theirs, they will charge you 5,000 rand. So let's make sure, comrades, that we behave in those facilities. More, again, importantly, comrades, you will be provided with 3 meals: lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We also apologize, President and members of the NEC. Yesterday, the dinner was served very late, and members of the PAC were very hungry and exhausted. But we promised that we would improve, although it was not out of our own making. It was because of the service provider. It was not us who did that. But in case, we apologize, and we hope that today everything will run in order. Our understanding is that when we start, there will obviously be glitches, there will obviously be issues. But we hope, since it's the second day today, things will be better. On the third day, things will be much, much more better. And on the last day, when we leave here, we'll leave here happy as members of the PAC. We will provide all those meals, we'll provide the accommodation. There are also rooms that will also be allocated for commissions. We will also have rooms where we are engaging on media interviews, or where we are engaging with the media from time to time. I'm sure today you have seen that we are having a lot of media houses present here. They've got an interest on what the PAC is doing, since PAC is part of the government. PAC is also part of government at local government. In many municipalities, in particular in metros, we are also part of the executive. So all eyes are on us, on how we do things. So comrades, I plead with you, let us do things in a way that demonstrates that we are a government in waiting. Comrades, there are also bathroom facilities. I think here on my left is facilities for females. On the right, if I'm not mistaken, there are facilities for females. So feel free to use those facilities, but also take care of those facilities. The same with the rooms that we'll be using for commissions, the same with the rooms that we'll be using for media, the same with the rooms that we'll be using to eat. With those few words, I want to thank you as we close this session. We are hoping that we will go to lunch. After lunch, we will then reconvene for a closed session. With those few words, members of the NEC, we want to thank you, members of the executives. We want to thank you. Or I can see, you know, when members of the PAC raise his hand, they remind you that there's something that you forget. There are very few issues that relates to credentials that still needs to be attended to. This morning when I met with, when I was with members of branches and delegates, we had promised that we were going to deal with those few, not new issues, Mafrica. Few issues that we had outlined what were those issues that we are going to deal with. We are still going to deal with those issues. We'll tell you where you will find us so that we deal with those issues. But it's not going to be in this venue. It's not going to be in yesterday's venue because of what I've just told you. But you will then be informed tentatively, particularly your leaders in provinces and region, as so where you will find us to resolve finally those minor issues that are outstanding. With those few words, comrades, let me thank you for giving me this opportunity, Chair, and I hand over to you. Thank you.
Fellow comrades, a national congress like any other congress in this modern day PAC we are members of, there should be more pens, papers, gadgets than weapons. And I'm saying this deliberately, Comrade SG. Out of our own observations, we are saying we are running a normal political party. We are in a national conference. People, we hope they brought pens, papers, gadgets to type, you know, phones to type, weapons. There are people who are authorized to guard conference. And we humbly request, we understand that as an organization we have a long history with military activities, and we appreciate that. We are very sensitive to that as an organization. However, we don't untie our own dogs unto our own selves. We will unleash when the right time comes, when the proper analysis has been made that there's a real enemy, then we will unleash that information. But with this, I'm saying the open session is officially closed, comrades. All provincial leaders, if there's a all provincial secretaries, if there's a provincial secretary who I've not engaged with, I'm requesting that after here we engage, so that as and when there's information, somebody must not say my phone was off and I was not able to answer, and we find ourselves arguing as if we are sabotaging each other. In a Congress situation, information moves and changes with time. We humbly request that in an event there's no provincial secretary present from your province, identify a responsible provincial leader who will from time to time be relayed to information so that they can be able to relate to you. Otherwise, I've heard you first. And if there's any other thing, your provincial leaders will get that information where there's a challenge and any other challenge that can be attended to. Please communicate to us through your provincial secretaries. We are avoiding people going to queue somewhere else when the business is busy here. If you have a problem, you communicate with your provincial leader. We are now going to an open session, meaning in an open session, all official rules apply. We don't want to see a branch secretary trying to ask SG about a tag. There's protocol that must be respected. Even how these documents are submitted, there's protocol. So that abnormality ends here after this session. Moving from this session, the organization itself is getting into a Congress mode now. And those who understand what do I mean by a Congress mode, I mean, we don't teach soccer players rules of soccer during a soccer tournament. In a soccer tournament, we apply rules, not teach each other rules. Isoletu, Africa, high moral. The gathering is officially closed until you communicate back, comrades. First, there's one center of communication. Whose instruction is that? No problem. Thank you, comrades. Thank you, comrades. We must disperse.